Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today. And in this one we're going to have some fun with ChatGPT. So if you haven't heard of that before, that's an artificial intelligence chatbot. It's kind of made its way through the news. I mean, you certainly heard of it if you're still in school at all. So I thought I'd ask it some DC related questions and see how it performs. I'll put the link in the description and in the comment section if you want to play around with yourself. You just have to create an account. I mean, it's free. And then you basically just start asking questions and see you play around with it. So the questions asked it. So the first one we started off, we'll start off easy. We'll do what is DC Universe Online? So DC Universe stands for DC Universe Online, which is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game set in the world of DC Comics. The game was developed by Daybreak, which is not correct. It was first released in 2011 for Windows and PlayStation 3 and later versions on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. Obviously forgot about the PS5 as well. Players create their own superhero or villain character and join forces with iconic DC comic characters like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman to fight against evil and save the world. Players can customize their character's appearance, abilities, and equipment, engage in various missions and quests throughout the DC universe. The game features a large open world where players can explore locations like Gotham City, Metropolis, and Atlantis. I mean, technically that's correct with Atlantis, it's part of a DLC, but it's still an open world. And encounter various DC comic villains and heroes. It also includes various PvP. Well, it did. I mean, it technically still does, but where players can battle against each other in open arenas and open world combat. So what is the best DPS in DC Universe Online? This is where it gets a bit interesting. So there's several power sets that can be effective at dealing damage. I'm not too worried about that, but munitions. This power set focuses on using guns and explosives to deal damage. It is high single target and AoE. Actually, that's correct. That's good mobility and utility. So they got munitions correct. Gadgets. This power set uses gadgets and traps to deal damage and control enemies. It has high burst damage, good crowd control, and can provide useful support to the team. I mean, technically that's correct. I don't know about the whole traps aspect. I mean, technically you get mines and stuff like that, but that's not exactly how I would describe gadgets to a person. Atomic. This power set harnesses the nuclear energy to deal damage and control enemies. It has high AoE damage, good crowd control. It can also provide some healing and damage mitigation. I mean, that's correct as well. Rage's power set taps into the power of Rage to deal damage and increase the player's damage output. It has high single target damage. That's wrong. Good mobility. Can also provide some self-healing and damage mitigation. Yeah, definitely not high single target damage. What is better in DC Universe Online, might or precision? So there are 2 important stats that affect a player's combat effectiveness. Might increases a player's physical and mental damage output while also increasing their health pool. Okay. It is generally preferred by tanks and melee-oriented characters who need to deal high damage and withstand enemy attacks. I mean, you can spec health, but I mean, that'd be nice if it might actually increase your health pool and they tied to that. That'd be interesting. Precision on the hand increases a player's critical hit chance and critical hit damage as their weapon and superpower hit chance. Yeah, they'd like that. It is generally preferred by range characters who rely on critical hits to deal damage. Yeah, it's definitely preferred by range, that's for sure. Both stats are important and can be effective depending on the player's playstyle and content they're playing. However, in general, might is considered to be more important than precision because it affects not only damage output, but also survivability. See, if they actually did that, that'd be actually neat. I mean, not that they will do that, but if they tied health to might, well, I mean, even precision would be criticals, but that being said, it's important for players to balance both stats according to the playstyle and content they're playing. For example, melee-oriented character. Did I say melee? Wow, that's getting back into bad habits as melee. Good thing I caught myself there. Gonna get roasted in the comments for that one. That's thought I fixed that habit years ago. Yeah, for example, a melee-oriented character may prioritize might, but they should invest some points in precision to increase their critical hit chance and damage. Similarly, a ranged character might prioritize precision, but they should also invest in might to increase their survivability. Maybe the AI is onto something. So what is the most popular role in DC Universe Online? There are 3 main roles that players may choose to play: tank, healer, and damage dealer. So even the AI knows that the controller is a dead role. The popularity of each role can vary depending on the various factors as the current state of the game, the player's playstyle, and the content they're playing. That being said, historically the DPS role has been the most popular. Well, the AI's got that at point. This is because DPS characters are generally considered to be the easiest and most straightforward to play. Well, now the AI is roasting DPS. And also because they were often seen as the most important role of group content, like raids and alerts, where the damage output can make significant difference in the success of the group. I mean, that's technically true. However, the popularity of tank and healer roles have increased over time as players become more familiar with the game's mechanics. I mean, it's kind of scary how like accurate this is with the AI. Like, where would the AI get that information from? How would the AI know that like players who get more familiar with the game mechanics will then play support roles? I mean, I'm sure it's got access to the internet searches, but it's like, are they going through all like the DCU forums to pull that information from? So, for my Switch folk, will DC ever run well on the Nintendo Switch? But the game's performance on platform can vary depending on various factors and players' hardware, net connection, server load. Released in 2019. However, it's worth noting the Switch has less powerful hardware compared to other platforms like PC and consoles, which can limit the game's performance and graphical fidelity. That being said, the developers have optimized the game to run well on the Switch. I think the Switch players would disagree with that. And players can adjust the game's graphics settings to improve performance. I'm not sure if that actually does anything either. Additionally, the game's performance can be affected by the player's network connection and server load. I mean, that's all of us. It's important to have a stable and fast internet connection while playing online. Overall, DC Universe may not run well on Switch. Compared to the other platforms, the developers have made efforts to optimize the game. Once again, I think the Switch players disagree with that. And improve performance on the platform. The players can still enjoy the game on Switch with the right hardware and network setup. So see, AI, you just get a better right hardware and network setup. What allies should I run as a DPS in DC? So allies are non-playable characters that accompany players in combat and provide various bonuses and effects. That is correct. A DPS player, there are several allies that can be useful in your party to increase your damage output and survivability. Robin. Robin is a tech ally that can provide players with increased critical hit chance and critical hit damage, as well as a chance to heal the player when they defeat an enemy. We don't have Robin. However, I think that goes without saying that every single DPS in the game would want to have that ally if Robin was an ally. I think we might be, or there's some like developer folder that got leaked online where they have future allied releases. I guess we should speak to Amaro about that. Starfire. Starfire is a celestial ally that can provide players with increased power regeneration and damage reduction, as well as a chance to deal bonus damage on critical hits. Once again, that's actually a pretty good ally. Supergirl is a Kryptonian ally that can provide players with increased damage output and critical hit chance, as well as the chance to heal the player and nearby allies when defeat an enemy. I mean, the only one we have is, that's actually not a bad effect, is to have the ally. Well, I mean, it makes it difficult for tanks and healers, but any kind of DPS ally, when you defeat an enemy, it should proc something. And I mean, we only have Nubia for that. There might be a few others, but Nubia is the one that stands out in terms of like a group buff when an enemy is defeated. Batwoman is a gadgets ally that provide players with increased damage output and critical hit chance, as well as a chance to stun enemies when they use a control effect. And Harley Quinn is a mental ally that can provide players with increased damage output and critical hit chance, as well as the chance to confuse enemies when they use a control effect. It is important to note that the choice of allies will vary depending on the player's playstyle. I think it's funny that we have, like 15 allies? I don't know, I just made that number up. But out of all the allies that we actually have in the game, it didn't even get a single one. And the allies that are provided here are actually better than the allies that we actually have in the game. So when will DC shut down? There's currently no official announcement. DC's been running since the initial release in 2011, with the beta being 2010, late 2010. The game also has a dedicated player base and remains popular among fans in the DC universe and MMORPGs. That being said, just like any online game, DC's future is ultimately dependent on its financial performance and player engagement. Yeah, I would say so. If the game stops generating enough revenue, or if its player numbers decline significantly, the developers and publishers may consider shutting down the game. But we have no indication of that. How can I get a Plasmic Aura in DC? So in DC, the Plasmic Aura is a rare cosmetic item that can be obtained from various sources. Here are some ways to get it. The marketplace? Nope. Promotions? Not really. Loot drops? Players like that. Player trading, correct. It's important to note that availability of the Plasmic War can vary depending on various factors, such as the current state of the game and availability of promotions and effects. So I thought we'd end with some more narcissistic questions. So we've got, who is Obsidian Chill? Obsidian Chill is a content creator and streamer who focuses on DC Universe Online. Obsidian Chill is known for producing high-quality DC Universe videos and streams, including gameplay footage, tutorials, and guides. Obsidian Chill content covers various aspects of DC, including character creation, power sets, weapon tiers, gears, and builds. Obsidian Chill also provides commentary and analysis on DC Universe updates, events, and news related to the game. In addition, Obsidian Chill has also created content for other MMORPGs such as WoW and The Old Republic. Maybe the AI knows something I don't, but I've never played those games. Obsidian Chill has a dedicated following on YouTube and Twitch and is considered one of the top DC content creators in the community. Thank you, AI. Is Obsidian Chill a famous YouTuber? Obsidian Chill is a relatively well-known content creator and streamer in the DC Universe Online, YouTube and Twitch. While Obsidian Chill may not be as known outside the community, or compared to some of the biggest YouTubers, they have a dedicated following and are respected for their high-quality content and expertise on the game. Obsidian Chill has produced a substantial amount of DC content over the years, including gameplay footage, guides, and commentary, which has helped establish their reputation as a respected figure in the community. Thank you, AI. Is Obsidian Chill the most famous DC player? It is difficult to determine who the most famous DC player is, as the game has a large active player base and many players have gained recognition for their contributions to the community. While Obsidian Chill is a well-known content creator and streamer, not so much on the streaming side, there are many players who have gained a following and recognition for their gameplay, guides, and other contributions. Some other notable players include Jens Anderson. I guess that's good company to be put in, the community director. Docking Station, I guess Docking Station's OP. No idea what Docking Station is. And Nerd of Prey, that's bad company to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of Nerd of Prey, among others. Funny, there's no actual other DC YouTubers in that. Ultimately, the most famous DC player is subjective and can vary depending on factors such as individual preferences, exposure, and the player's contributions to the community. So if you guys want, you can put in the comment section questions that you've asked the AI and see what the responses were. So take care, guys. We'll see you in the next video.